The Indiana Fever didn't just win against the Seattle Storm, they rewrote the record books, smashing 6 different milestones in a single night. And right at the center of it all was Caitlin Clark, fired up after a rare technical foul and turning that frustration into pure dominance.
Feels good. Got the pants, got the charms, necklace, zipper, everything.
Leading her team to a statement victory that left fans buzzing, critics silenced, and the league wondering if we just witnessed the birth of a new era. What made this win so unforgettable wasn't just the scoreline, it was the avalanche of records the Indiana Fever shattered in a single night. First and foremost, Caitlin Clark stamped her name in history by breaking the WNBA single-season rookie assist record. Tisha Penicheiro's 224 assists stood untouched for decades until Clark dished out her 232nd, rewriting the standard for playmaking excellence.
AB's been the one that's been most affected by all of our injuries. You know, all of the point guards that know how to get her the ball and how they get it to her. And it's not just getting her the ball, it's where you get it to her. You know, getting it to her on time, on target, you know, thinking one pass ahead. You know, all that matters. And I thought today, her aggressiveness with the ball in her hands to the rim, getting into defenders, playing low to high instead of high to low. When she plays like that, you know, there's nobody that can stop her. And, you know, she set the tone for us, really on both ends. You know, she had the NECA assignment as well and set the tone for us on both ends. And, you know, she was terrific.
And she didn't stop there. She piled on 23 points with 9 assists, proving she's not only a passer, but a scoring threat at every level. But it wasn't just Caitlin making headlines. Kelsey Mitchell lit it up with 27 points, reminding everyone she's one of the deadliest guards in the league. And then came Lexie Hull, delivering a career-high 22 points with 6 three-pointers that electrified the arena. For a player often overlooked, it was a breakout moment that showed the Fever's depth runs far deeper than Clark alone. Beyond the box score, the Fever dominated the fundamentals, out-rebounding Seattle 42-21 and crushing them in second-chance points 22-4. Those weren't just stats, they were records in effort, teamwork, and execution. 6 milestones in one game, all pointing to a Fever squad that wasn't just trying to win, they were trying to send a message. Every great performance has a spark, and for Caitlin Clark, it came in the form of frustration. Midway through the game, after a missed call, she slapped the stanchion in anger and was immediately hit with a technical foul. For most rookies, that kind of moment might rattle confidence. But for Clark, it was the exact opposite. It lit a fire. From that point forward, her energy shifted into overdrive. The passes became sharper, the shots fell cleaner, and her command of the offense was undeniable. That tech didn't knock her off, it woke her up. Teammates even admitted afterward that they could feel the intensity change the second Clark walked back onto the floor. It was like she decided right then that the game would belong to Indiana, and she delivered on that promise. What could have been a setback instead became the turning point of the night, fueling not just Clark's dominance, but the entire team's surge. And it showed that this wasn't just about breaking records, it was about a rookie proving she could flip a game's momentum with sheer willpower. As dominant as Caitlin Clark was, this game proved something bigger. Indiana isn't a one-woman show. Kelsey Mitchell reminded everyone why she's one of the most underrated scorers in the league by torching Seattle for 27 points. She didn't just put numbers on the board, she controlled the tempo, knocking down shot after shot whenever the Fever needed a lift. Her ability to create her own offense gave Indiana a second weapon that Seattle had no answer for. Every time the Storm thought they could collapse on Clark, Mitchell punished them, forcing defenders to stretch and leaving space everywhere else. Then came Lexie Hull, who turned what could have been just another night into the game of her career. Known more for her hustle and defensive grit, Hull suddenly caught fire from beyond the arc, drilling 6 three-pointers and finishing with a career-high 22 points. Each shot she hit wasn't just points, it was a dagger. Every make sent the Fever bench into a frenzy and the crowd into chaos. What made it more powerful was the narrative. Here was a player many had written off as a role player, stepping up on the biggest stage and reminding the league that Indiana's depth is very real. Together, Mitchell and Hull took enormous pressure off Clark's shoulders. instead of teams being able to. What made this victory even more jaw-dropping wasn't just the scoring, it was the sheer physical dominance the Fever displayed. The stat sheet told the story loud and clear. Indiana out-rebounded Seattle 42-21. That's not just winning the battle on the glass, that's humiliation. Every missed shot by the Storm seemed to end up in the hands of Aaliyah Boston, Nalissa Smith, or even Clark crashing the boards. Possession after possession, Indiana smothered Seattle's hopes of second chances. And when the Fever missed on their own end, they turned those rebounds into 22 second-chance points compared to just 4 for Seattle. That kind of margin doesn't happen by accident. It's the result of hustle, toughness, and an entire team locked in on every play. This wasn't just about skill, it was about heart. Indiana looked hungrier, sharper, and more determined, while Seattle looked overwhelmed and flat-footed. Every loose ball was chased down by a Fever jersey. Every box out ended with Storm players pushed out of position. That effort wore Seattle down mentally as much as physically. By the fourth quarter, it wasn't just a game anymore, it was a statement. Indiana showed they weren't just building for the future, they were ready to win now. And those numbers, 42-21 on the glass, 22 to 4-inch second chance points, were proof that the Fever didn't just outscore Seattle, they outworked them in every sense. What happened inside the arena was powerful, but the impact outside the game might have been even bigger. The Indiana Fever's win against Seattle didn't just shake up the standings, it shook up the business of basketball. Almost overnight, Fever merchandise sales surged, reportedly climbing by more than 1,100% compared to the start of the season. Jerseys, hoodies, hats, anything with Caitlin Clark's name or number was selling out in minutes. Online retailers couldn't keep up with demand, and fans were posting screenshots of empty carts and resale listings with triple-digit markups. It was the kind of merchandise boom you usually only see after a championship, and it happened in the middle of a rookie season. Social media told the same story. Clips of Clark's dazzling passes, Mitchell's clutch shots, and Hull's bombs from deep spread like wildfire. Within 24 hours, highlights of the Fever Storm game had racked up millions of views across platforms, with hashtags like #ClarkEffect and #FeverRising trending globally. Analysts noted that in just a few months, Caitlin Clark's name had generated over 800 million views online, a number unheard of for a WNBA rookie. That viral power turned every game into a cultural event, drawing in fans who had never watched women's basketball before. But the buzz wasn't just positive. Alongside the hype came backlash, with some veteran players and commentators questioning whether the attention Clark received was fair compared to others. It sparked debates about media bias, respect for pioneers of the league, and whether the WNBA was becoming too reliant on a single superstar to drive momentum. Former athletes weighed in, fans clashed online, and television shows debated Clark's rise like it was a national story. Shannon Sharpe even stepped into the conversation, comparing Clark's sudden spotlight to when Larry Bird entered the NBA and disrupted the balance of attention, saying, "Greatness brings criticism, but it also brings change." That's when it became clear. This wasn't just a basketball game anymore, it was a cultural shift. The Fever's performance against Seattle didn't only put 6 new records in the books, it turned into a viral flashpoint that had everyone talking, from sports analysts to celebrities to casual fans scrolling TikTok. It was proof that the Clark effect wasn't just about the scoreboard, it was about reshaping the conversation around women's basketball on a global scale. What this game really showed is that Indiana is no longer just building for tomorrow, they're arriving now. The 6 records shattered against Seattle weren't random stats. They were signals of a team and a league stepping into a new era. Caitlin Clark breaking the rookie assist record proves she isn't just a scorer, she's a generational playmaker who can lift everyone around her. Kelsey Mitchell's 27 points reminded fans that Indiana already had one of the league's most underrated scorers before Clark even. For the Fever as a franchise, this win meant validation. They've endured years at the bottom of the standings, quietly rebuilding and waiting for the right moment. That moment has arrived. With Clark orchestrating the offense, Boston anchoring the paint, and veterans like Mitchell stabilizing the attack, Indiana suddenly looks like a playoff team with real bite. Fans who once ignored Fever games are now packing arenas, chanting Clark's name, and treating each matchup like an event. And for the WNBA, the ripple effects are undeniable. Viewership has surged, merchandise is flying, and social media clips of Clark and the Fever are drawing audiences who never gave the league a chance before. Even skeptics are admitting that the game against Seattle didn't just belong in the WNBA record book, it belonged in the national spotlight. Analysts are calling it a turning point, not only for Indiana, but for the league itself. The Fever's win proved that the hype around Caitlin Clark wasn't just a media creation, it's translating into real numbers, real revenue, and real respect. But with momentum comes pressure. Every game now feels bigger, every performance more scrutinized. The Fever's rise is exciting, but it also raises the question, can they sustain it? Are we seeing the foundation of a dynasty being built in Indiana, or is this the peak of a rookie phenomenon? Either way, one thing is certain. This victory against Seattle wasn't just another regular season win. It was the night the Fever announced they weren't here to participate, they were here to take over. The Indiana Fever's win over the Seattle Storm wasn't just another game, it was a declaration. 6 records shattered in one night, a rookie breaking history, veterans stepping up with career highs, and a team that once lived at the bottom of the standings suddenly looking unstoppable. Caitlin Clark turned a technical foul into fuel, proving she has the fire to carry not only herself but her entire franchise. Mitchell and Hull showed the Fever aren't a one-woman act, while Boston and Smith controlled the paint like it was theirs alone. And off the court, the ripple effect shook everything, merchandise sales exploding, highlights going viral, and debates breaking out nationwide about whether Clark is changing the league too fast or not fast enough. The truth is, this wasn't just a win, it was a warning shot. A message to the rest of the WNBA that Indiana's time has arrived. For years, fans have been waiting for a team and a player to ignite the league in a way no one could ignore. Now it's here, and the Fever are at the center of it. The only question left is whether this was the beginning of a dynasty or just the first chapter in a story still being written. Either way, one thing is clear. The Clark effect is no longer hype, it's history in the making.